So another episode of the hiring room with a very special guest for me. This is one of my mentors. We call him DJ.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm excited to be with you today. It's great.
Yeah. So I just have to say, you took you've had two successful exits in your career as a founder. Amazing. No, the first time I was with you, I left before it happened, probably left some money on the table. And then you guys did it again, which is amazing. Some people dream of doing it one time, which is amazing. But you left staffing. So tell me a little bit about like what you're doing now with, am I saying this right? Accor?
Accor.
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 Tell
Yeah.
me about Accor and what you're doing now, and then we'll kind of get into like the whole you have so much to offer from a leadership perspective for people out there that I do want to kind of get into your leaderships.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, let me give
Yeah.
you a little bit of background. So I started it back in late 96 with Robert Half.
Gosh, 90s.
Got into staffing accidentally, really. I was at a sales fair and Robert Half had to be there. And I was standing on the sidelines and talking to this guy. And I'm like, do you know anything about this Robert Half company? He's like, yeah, they do staffing and all this. And I go, what company are you with? He goes, I'm with Robert Half. And I'm like, oh, really? So the next thing you know, we're having a conversation and he's like, you want to go in another room and have an interview? And I said, yeah. So the next thing I went through 5 or 6 different interviews. If you guys ever worked for Robert Half, you would know that they put you through a lot of interviews.
I never did.
And they hired me and I started in staffing in 96. A
Gosh,
lot of fun.
how old were you in 96?
29. So I'm kind of putting my number out there.
Yeah, well, I am too.
Yeah.
I'm proud of my old owl status. That's what I say.
Yeah,
It's like a badge of honor, right?
exactly.
What were you doing before that? Because you're such a sports guy. I mean, you had a
Yeah.
business. Weren't you part of 2 sports
Yes.
apparel businesses? One was like the
Well, I,
hat
I
thing.
started, I started out of college and worked for Foot Locker and I worked for Foot Locker for
Oh,
6
that's right,
years.
'cause you told me New Balance gym shoes are the best gym shoes in the world,
I don't know
and
if
they're
I'm
good
that, maybe then I did. I don't know if I tell you that now.
and they're good for Disney. People still
Exactly.
say it. I was like, "If I'm going to Disney, what do I get? Get some New Balance." But I don't have any, but,
I don't either.
that's funny. No, so that's
But
right, you worked for Foot Locker.
yeah, worked for Foot Locker. And I really do think that that industry really helped me out in the staffing industry because of the fast pace, because I did all temporary placement and it was fast paced, quick transactions and move on to the next. And temporary back in the 90s, and especially on the administrative side, you'd fill 1, 2 day assignments and then you were moving on to the next one. And so it was a
I don't know how
lot.
you did it.
Yeah,
You started an admin at Robert Half?
I did.
Okay, let me
Yeah.
ask you this question. On any given day, how many orders would come in? I don't even know.
Oof, I couldn't tell you a number. I do remember that in 1 week, we had 2 people running what they called the desk. I think we
Yeah.
filled like 56, 57 orders in 1 week. And it could be like 1, 2 day assignments. It was like a lot. It was some receptionist type of roles. Yeah.
God. Now AI does that work. We'll get into that too.
Okay.
We're gonna
All
talk
right.
about that too.
All right.
Yeah, so that said, the only kind of volume I did was when I worked for you, and, it's kind of a young person's game. I mean, it's exhausting.
It is. It is.
It's so exhausting.
So we branched off from Robert Half in '01, started a staffing firm, grew that really well. And unfortunately, some certain things did happen, and we did sell the company in 2006, if I'm not mistaken. Me and a couple other guys got the band back together, and then we launched our other company in 2009. And by 2015, we were the fastest growing staffing, or actually just fastest growing company in the Chicagoland area.
Was
We
that
had like
it?
85
Amazing.
employees and just growing it.
What do you think, okay, so, what's so interesting is, I attribute I worked for you when I got into staffing, I worked for you. I mean, I walked in and you were my boss, and we sat next to each
2080s
other.
Jackson.
I know that office, that stuff didn't bother me, but oh my god, to remember this, I have to
Remember how
reminisce.
small it was? Oh my gosh.
It was so small. Oh my god, you could open the windows on the 14th floor, you could fall out, and they were throwing
Yes.
remember when they threw a
Yes. Yeah.
football?
Yeah.
And you can really throw a football that hit the other end of the to
Other
try to
building
get it on
across
the
the
roof?
street.
And I was freaking out because I was old. Well, I was 35. So, well, you and I were similar ages. And I think Jim and I are the same age, but everybody else was a lot younger. Branchik was 5 years younger than me. And I was like, "Oh my god." And I had 3 kids at that time. I was like, "This is so irresponsible. You're gonna hit somebody with a ball.
You talking
This
about?
is me." And I'm the only woman, the
Yeah,
only female in the room.
you
That's
were.
when I really started swearing a lot. My mother was like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. I'm in a room of men, and I say the F bomb every other word." I don't do that as much anymore, but
Me
it was
either.
bad. My mouth got super it's kinda like you're in this tribe. It's survive or get eaten, like,
Exactly,
especially with you
exactly.
guys. But I'll remember this one time. Do you remember you doing this to me? At was that 28 East Jackson or West?
Yeah,
So we had a joint bathroom, and remember it was in the hallway?
yeah, yeah,
So I'm in the bathroom. I'm in the bathroom, and it's like a house, like, it's like a bathroom in a house, like, it's just a door. You don't walk
yeah.
into a room, right? And
There's a unisex.
you're
Yeah.
pounding on it. "Bagman! Bagman! What are you doing?" Like, "What do you mean, what am I doing?" Talking through the door. "Get out of here. We got some shit we gotta do." I was dying.
So
It was
I got
fun.
another good story about that
We had
bathroom.
we
No
had
one knows this
so
story, by the way,
we had
and
so much fun.
I'm gonna
God,
tell
tell
it
me.
right now.
Tell
So
it.
I went to the bathroom, right? And on the back of the
The same place?
same unisex, this little cracker box bathroom. On the back of the toilet was a spray, right? Because there's unisex and all this stuff. But I went to the bathroom. I used the spray, and for some odd reason, I knocked it off and it went right into the drain. It was at the same time I was flushing it, so it went down. This little can,
You're
and
kidding me.
yeah. And so I left. I walked out. 10 minutes later, you go to the bathroom.
It was me?
You go to the bathroom, and you flush the toilet, and it flooded the whole floor.
I don't even
Do you remember
remember
this at
that.
all? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I never said a word. I never said a word. It
You
was you,
said
and we
shut
blamed it
up.
all on you. We blamed it all on you for clogging the
You're
toilet.
such a jerk. Oh my god.
True
Okay,
story.
let me ask you, was there just water on the floor?
Yeah, it was just water, I think,
Can you imagine?
but we all
And
blamed it on you,
of
and
course you
it was
did.
definitely me.
See, now this is a confessions. This is confessions
Yeah,
101. Oh my god, and you guys were probably just laughing your asses off, like, "Oh, we got back then."
yeah,
Do you
but I didn't tell
remember
anybody.
Oh, you didn't tell me. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Do you remember I was telling this story the other day. Do you remember Renee Beckman Day? Do you remember that? You
Was
don't
it when
remember this? Oh my
I
god.
probably will, you just gotta fill me in. It's been
So
a
Jim and
bit.
Mike, I think I was doing really well or something, right? And they were like, "We wish everyone was like Renee Beckman." And so they had Renee Beckman Day to honor, like, whatever what I don't know, because I was the queen of cold call, right? Like, I did it all day long. That's all I did for 8 hours a day where I actually had congestion in my shoulder, and I had to go to a therapist because I didn't use
Yeah,
a
we had the
headphone.
phones. Yeah, that's right, we had
I
the
always picked the
phones.
phone up. I didn't use
Yeah.
a headphone. I always picked the phone up. I always felt closer to somebody, was, like, talking to 'em. And anyway, I don't know whose idea. I think Jim's like, "No, we're gonna have Renee Beckman Day," and everyone had buttons on. Do you don't remember this? I'll never forget this. I was so embarrassed, and people had to do like, everyone was my slave for the day. No matter what I wanted, people had to do it for me. So if I
That's
wanted something to
great.
eat, you had to go get it. Whatever I wanted, like, "Hey, go pick up that, off the printer," like, get and, I remember this. It was hilarious, and then after the day was over, I think I took Jim and Meg, and I was like, "Could we never do" because it was like a target on my back, first off, because people were like, "Well, fuck her, like, Renee what the hell's Renee Beckman Day?" And they as in their style, right, they're trying to create competition, that's what they do, right, amongst people, and so I mean, it was really I can't say sweet because I don't know if those 2 could ever be, like, sweet, but it was really kind of a nice thing that they were trying to recognize me. It was a really nice thing to do, but I remember being really embarrassed by it. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Great.
But it
That's
was really
great.
funny. Yeah, it was super funny. Renee Beckman Day, I'll never forget it. And I don't have a great memory, so I don't remember the flooding.
I don't either. Oh, yeah, the flooding was good.
Yeah, I don't remember the flooding, but we had a really good time. I mean, I would say if anyone's listening and has an opportunity to be in a startup is really something it's really a unique thing. And we were in a situation where we didn't have a PE firm that was funding, so we didn't have that kind of I mean, we still had pressure, obviously, but we didn't have that kind of pressure. And you've done that. That's a different ballgame, am I correct?
Yeah, it's totally
When
different.
you're, like, doing your organic growth and just, like, hoofing it versus then they come in and, inject cash, what do you think it does to a culture?
What's that now?
What do you think it does to a culture?
As
You know,
far
when
as
you've got founders who are, like, self-funding, pouring all the money back into the company, growing organically, and then they sell, right? And or they just get an influx. Jim never got an influx of PE money. He sold, right? Did he ever take money along the way or no? I don't think he ever did he?
there was distributions, somewhat, but we did throw a lot of the money back into
Yeah.
whether it was marketing
But
or
he didn't
hiring
get
new
outside funding ever, right? Except
no,
bank, like
I take that back. When we first started at 28 East Jackson, we were working through a company out of Houston and they were do collect we, uh, we did do that.
TFI.
Yeah. TFI.
TFI
Right.
was funding. I still
Yes.
use them when I need to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because whenever when you get I don't really I mean, I wish it's hard to sell temp or consulting as a one-man band. It's almost an impossibility. I mean, it's just so hard to do. You just hard to do, but when you pick something up, once in a while, you get a phone call and you pick it up, I just call people to I mean, they take a lot of money, but it's not, it's not worth it unless you're running, unless you're running a lot of people out. It's
I
not
only
worth
think we've used TFI for a couple years before, not even
But
2.
killed Jim. He
Yeah.
would calculate those numbers, and they took, like,
Yeah.
8%, I think,
I
off the
remember
bill.
you remember walking in on a morning and Jim had the spreadsheet out with a ruler going one by one doing journal entries.
Oh,
He'll
yeah,
probably laugh. He'll
he
laugh to use
hated
this
it.
podcast. I know we walk in, he had the ruler out, blocking all of the
He hated it. He hated it.
Jimmy.
He hated the location. He freaking hated the location. He
Yeah.
hated doing the bookkeeping. He was
And
up
the
at
guy
the
that
crack.
smoked, remember the guy could smoke in the office in the
No!
corner?
Yes!
Oh, he used to get so fired up.
So mad. Oh my god, those little shitty interview rooms. Holy crap. Oh my god. And we had Melissa, my cousin, worked really
That's
remember
right.
she was like
Yeah.
19? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. We had so much fun. It was really fun. And reminiscing. So you did really well, and then what made you decide just to leave? Like, you guys sold in 2018, and you got out of the business, and I'm sure you're still getting calls, constantly to, what made you just hang it up with it?
I think my biggest thing was, it was twofold. One, I don't know if I had enough in the tank left to keep going as far as the staffing side because it's a grind. I mean, from '96 to 2018, that's a lot, and
I
to try to
know.
keep going and instead of working for myself, I had to work for the man, and I didn't know if I wanted to do that in the staffing world because I'd done it for so long.
Yeah,
So those 2 things combined, I just said, "Hey, let's make a change and exit and see what's next in my world."
yeah. Well, you're like a natural born salesman, so you could sell anything. I mean, you just have this way
I do
about
like
you.
sales. Yeah,
Yeah, I wish I liked
I
it
do.
more. I like I'm you know
Yeah.
what I'm really good at? I'm good at if someone gets me in the account, I mean, I'm good at cold calling and all that crap. I don't enjoy it though. I don't like it. But once I'm in a client, it's locked. Like once I'm in, I'm pretty much but otherwise
And
everything
that's what drove me is that piece of it, even though you have to do the cold calling and the sales piece, which I'm not gonna tell you everybody loves that. It's not no one really likes that. But it was getting in front of the clients, building those relationships up with
it's
them.
fun.
Well, that was the key, and that's the key to this business is people will buy from people that they like, and
Yeah,
they're not it's not gonna be over the phone, it's not gonna be over email, it's getting front of them and learning them and all that stuff. You were great at that too. You did really well at that piece and excelled, and to this day,
yeah.
you probably still have a lot of good relationships of people
Have
that you had
25-year relationships. Yeah. The
that's
only
great.
problem that ends up happening with me is that if they're it's very hiring recruiters is in like for a company to decide to go externally, it's a lot of money, right? And for the company, we're not cheap. And then there's a lot of people involved in the decision making. So even if the CFO is a really strong advocate for you, that decision can come from somewhere else. There's a lot of people involved in it. I think that's what's hard about it. For instance, Becky Norris, of course. You remember who
Yeah,
Becky Norris is, right? Because
absolutely.
she
Yeah,
came from Jim. She's been loyal to me for 20 like, ever since UPM. Well, Jim had to give me UPM because he wanted to sell the company, right? So
yeah.
Jim gives me UPM, which is like a windfall for me. And then Becky and I got really close, and then, I ended up retaining her, forever. And, now GE just bought her company at North Star, and, I think I did 4 placements just last year with her. I do usually every
Wow, that's
year.
great.
Yeah, and she just calls me, that's it. I just call her, she meets 1 or 2 people she hires. I mean, we're like a machine. I mean, I just know her so well. Gee, you put a kibosh on her. She's like, they're like, "You can't go outside anymore." She's like, "I don't have ti" she was like, "I don't have time for this." She was, "I do not have time for this." And they're like, "Well, why do you wanna use this woman so much?" She's like, "Because I just call her and I hire she gives me 1 or 2 people and I hire them because she's always on target." And she's like, "Well, but we have a whole team." She goes, "Yeah, they sent me 100 resumes." She
Yeah,
was, "I'm
and they
in
don't
meeting."
know her personality. They don't know her
Well,
management
they
style. They
can't
don't know.
screen technically, they can't screen she's like, "I have 100 people in my inbox right now, and I have 9 hours of meetings. What do you think it?" So she's upset about it. She's going to the CEO, she's like, I can't live like this, I can't do this. Like, I have to have her." They're just like,
That's
what is she?"
great.
And the other thing was they were challenging her about using other people. And they're like, "Well, why?" She's like, "Why would I? Do I do I swap out an attorney? Do you swap out your doctor? Do you swap out your CPA firms? No. So why would I have to swap out my recruiter?"
See, that's the misnomer. They think that the firms are a dime a dozen,
It's
right?
a
I would just get
they think
another
it's a
one.
commodity. They think we're a commodity. And
Yeah.
she did this video testimony. I don't know if you looked at any of my video testimonials. I've got 6 out there. I have a 7th from another president. And Becky did a video testimonial for me, and I paid to LinkedIn to boost it for 50 bucks. You can't believe the people that I got. This PE guy that came to me because he
Wow.
calls me up. He's like, I saw this testimonial from the CFO of North Star Aerospace." He's like, "It's amazing." He's like, "I had to talk to you." And I was like, "Thank you." But it is great, but, like, it's this war between, like, and I've got a lot of good human resource friends. I'm part of, like, the HRA. They're really great people. They're, like, nice people, but there is this war. I've got a client now, and I'm not gonna say names, and the VP of finance, I've known her for a long time. I've done really well with her, and she wanted to call me 2 months ago for this director role. And HR was just like, "No, no, 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 no." So she was like in a war with them to say, "I need to call Renee." And they're like, "We can do this." And so there's this competition that they feel like they failed. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's the problem. They feel like if they call you, it makes them look bad and they failed. And when I looked at this recruiter who was doing it, she wasn't set up for success. She did labor staffing. She had no college degree, so she had no credibility with this director level or VP level to recruit for. She couldn't speak the language at all. She could she was young. I looked at her background and she probably wasn't trained correctly, right? And I was like, she's set up not to be able to do this, you
Right.
know?
100%.
And
100%.
one of the things I said, "So it's like not her fault." I mean, she's just a different dynamic, especially when you start to get up in the higher levels. Like, actually this guy that's doing a final interview, this is not to boast for me. I don't mean to say that, but this is a problem with corporate hiring is really broken. It's so broken. And this guy that I found that's doing a final on Monday, cross our fingers on this one. He said to me, I have to be honest with you, Renee. He goes, "If a corporate HR recruiter would have called me," he goes, "I don't think I would have answered him." He goes, "When you reached out, your approach was different, your story was different. We got on the phone, it was different. The whole process was different." He goes, "I don't think he goes, "Not only don't I think, I know I wouldn't have answered them." That was really interesting, And I said, "Well," he goes, "It's the approach. It's how you approached me." You didn't send me
Interesting.
a job
Brilliant.
description, you didn't say how much it was paying, you just said, "You have an interesting background, this is the story. Are you interested in having a conversation?" Then we had it on the phone, he goes, "And it was, you didn't throw anything at me, you." And I have to tell you, Jim Wong taught me perm, and I tease him when I see him and say, I've tweaked it better than you can do," and he laughs at me because he's like, "No, you don't." Uh, I do in a way because I don't convince anybody of anything, that I had a really hard lesson early on, and you won't remember this, is when I went over to perm, and I only would go over if Jim taught me himself. And he said he would, and he did. And he was hard. Like, for me to like graduate, I had to like nail the interview. So like he would be like, "Nope, bong, you didn't make it, do it again." So I finally took I don't know if you knew this. I took a recording. I took a tape recorder because this is 1990. This is 2013. So I take this tape recorder and I go, "You know what? I'm sick of this crap." I said, "I keep failing. I'm not doing it perfectly." Him and Baranchek, I recorded them doing an interview, and I recorded it. I took it home. I memorized it. I came back. I'm like, "Let's go." He's
That's
like, "Oh."
great.
He's like, "Okay, you passed." can I
That's
go work
great.
now, please? Because he wouldn't let me do anything until I passed the, interview because it's so important. Like, it's everything, you know? Anyway, Jim had an order for an internal auditor, senior internal auditor, and I had this girl, and he's like, "Beckman, come on, what's up with this girl? What's up with this girl?" And I was like, "It doesn't beat." So Jim's thing, I don't even know if you know this, but one of the things he teaches you is, and I use it every day. What is your top 3 most important things? What are your drivers? And you use this throughout the entire closing process. What are your 3 things? And the job didn't meet any of her 3 things.
Huh.
And he's like, "That's okay." And I was like, "But they don't meet any of them." Like, she doesn't wanna work for a company this size. She just like, it was nothing, right? The commute didn't work. Not a thing worked. The
Huh.
money didn't work. Nothing worked. He's like, "That's okay." So we put her in. We couldn't close her. He closes her, double teams and closes her. She never showed up for the first. So he doesn't show up, and he's got this face, he's standing up, and he's like, I think he's, like, to the left of me, and he's like, looks at me, he goes, "Beckman." She was some Chinese girl, I can't woo her, so he's like, "Wouldn't show up." So the girl goes to China in between the start date for 2 weeks, so we couldn't talk to her. But this is 2000, like, 2. WhatsApp doesn't work, there's no WhatsApp, and he was just like, I'm like, "Dude, she didn't want the
That's
job."
great.
So now when I do this, if it doesn't meet the top 3 things, I said, I don't even tell them about the job. I said, "What's your top 3 things?" If it doesn't match, I say, "You know what? This role isn't for you because it doesn't meet any of your what you wanna do." And I laugh about this because I say, "How do you get 100% acceptance rates? You give people what they want and meets their needs." That's it. If it doesn't meet their needs anyway, oh my god. That was a lesson I but that's a little bit that happened, right? Like, that's that old school recruiting, fucking
Yeah,
get the
but I
deal.
do think that's missed big time. What you're saying right now, and I started seeing that late. I don't think people are training their people the right. I don't think they're hiring the right people that are going to ask those questions, whether it's on the recruiting side or the sales side. I think that that's where the biggest miss is, and that's why we are considered a commodity because there's
Yeah.
not. I think that a lot of the times now is that it's a robots that are just going through the motions, asking these candidates the same questions, and then they're going back to what you said. They're sending 100 resumes to a line manager, and the line manager is looking at them like, "Why am I vetting all these candidates out for you? Because that's what you're supposed to do."
Yep.
That's a lost art. That is a big lost art right
It
now,
is a
and I
lost
think
start,
that's
and, I have a whole training on this, Dave. I have a
ugh,
whole training on this, and I
yeah,
had, 20 some corporate recruiters come, and I was selling them a course. I was gonna teach them how to do it right, okay? And I've had talent acquisition people in corporate tell me, which makes sense, right? You hire people and that have recruiting background, and they all do it differently, and the hiring managers are all confused, and there's no consistency, and no one really knows what's happening. So you have to train your internal recruiters in the same methodology, just like you would do with any other operation role, but they don't do it. No one does it. And I said, so everyone hates the recruiters, everyone hates the internal recruiters, everybody hates the external recruiters. Have you seen chatter on
yeah,
LinkedIn about us?
yeah, yeah,
They hate us.
yeah.
You know? And it bothers me because I'm
Well, the
not
other
one
thing
of
too,
them.
I was probably in the early days of Brilliant that we hired a guy and he came from a competitor and we have our interview process and he goes, "I don't understand this interview process. These are just candidates that we can put up right away." And I'm like, he goes, "My interviews at the old company would last 15 minutes." I go, "What did you know about?" And he was appalled that we had like a 45-minute to an hour interview with every candidate
Yeah.
because we did. We had a really structured, all about them, all about us. What's your hot
Oh,
buttons, your
yeah.
top three things that
Yeah.
you want? I remember all that stuff. And
Were you doing
I,
that on the were you guys do were we doing it on the temp side too, the top 3?
we did. We brought that. We implemented that as well too. We brought it all in just to make sure the interview process was very thorough,
It's so
and the
smart.
candidates respect it. But you get to know the people because in 15 minutes, I don't know if I could really peg what
No,
personality they are
no.
or anything. I don't know if I could do it in an hour, but still, at least you got some of the vetting process that made
Yeah,
sense and felt comfortable with it. And we put
yeah.
all those notes into the system, and I think it really made a difference on our placements because we had our fair share of fall offs, but for the most part,
It's
we
part
did
of
a
the
really
business,
good
you know what I
job.
mean? But
And
not
that's
on
how
the
your
perm side.
reputation grows. Your reputation grows if you make good quality placements. It's like, you know, and that's the sad thing about the staffing industry is you're trying to get into a company. And the reason why you got in some of the times, yeah, it might have been relationship, but the other time was because some other staffing firm had a bad
It
follow up,
always was, right?
and you walked right into that. But
Yep. That was the reason there was a failure somewhere, right? There usually I would tell people the only time someone calls me is on the actually on the perm side anyway, is because they can't find the person they need. That's it. That's the only reason they call me. Why they can't find the person they need could be a million reasons, but that's the only reason they call me. I'm like going to the dentist. I'm painful. They don't really wanna call me, but they kinda have to call me, you know?
yeah,
And they don't wanna pay my fee, right? Well, actually, the hiring managers, they don't care. The hiring manager is just like, "I can I just put you on speed dial so I can get this shit done?" But that's 'cause and the other thing is that the other problem is that the recruiting is like the redheaded stepchild in HR. So a lot of these human resource people, no one goes to school for it. If you didn't work in a firm, and even if you worked in a firm, you're probably not taught correctly, right? Because it's a sales organization. It's not a human organization. If you run it like a sales organization only, then you're going to have fall offs and issues. And your reputation is going to suffer. But I would say, if you put the candidate first and their needs are met, everything just falls into place. You know, it just falls into place. But you have to spend a lot of time with the candidate. I mean, this guy
you did.
that's going in Monday, I probably logged in 3 or 4 hours with Jose already. I mean, he's like my buddy now. Like he's like, "Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
Renee," you and I
But
tell
that's
you,
it. That's the bond you build. You're not gonna
yeah.
the lady's not showing up for that first day job. That I mean, you can't avoid it, but if you have a three,
No, I
four
couldn't
hour
because if I would
relationship
have
with
done it
Jose,
now, she would have never interviewed. I would have never sent her in ever
but
because it
go to
didn't.
Jose. You got that relationship with Jose right now,
Yeah,
and he gets the job. He's going to show up. You're going to feel pretty confident the guy's going to show up because you got to build the relationship, or at
right,
least he's going to let you know
right.
that why he's not going in. But going on the flip side of this too is I don't know if it's a lost art on the sales side, but I've talked to two clients that I sell software now to the
Yeah,
staffing industry.
yeah,
Accor is the name of the company. And last two clients that I've talked to just recently, he's like, "Hey, just make sure my team understands the system because I'm just going out and doing all the sales." Well, that's a problem too because he's not spring chicken, and he's the last two guys. They're out. One guy was out in Texas. Another guy said he was in Mississippi going. He's going all. I'm out doing sales calls. I'm just going out and meeting clients and building relationship, and getting the orders, and then they fill it.
yeah.
You're not replicating yourself. You're gonna have challenge being able to grow that business that way.
Did you say it to him? Are you saying it to him?
I'm telling him right now. If he listens
He
to my
probably won't watch
podcast,
it. He's not
yeah,
gonna
I
be
mean, why are
watching,
you
but
going out and getting all the business? You might take a sales rep with you, but you gotta teach them. If you've
you
been
could
the
make
rainmaker for the
you
company,
could
you've
make
gotta
so
tell them.
much money consulting, dude. My god, you have so much knowledge, it's crazy. Okay, here's what other thing I thought about doing? Okay, I wanna train recruiters really bad because I wanna elevate the industry, but I don't think the companies think there's a problem. We know there's a problem. I don't think they know if the problem is bad enough to solve. And I still make more money. It's so much easier to do a deal than it would be to do all that. But it's fun, right? But I think there is a opportunity to train recruiting firms recruiters
I could see that for sure.
because when you get somebody new, you're like, "Oh, shit, I got to train this person." And we prioritized it. It was like you prioritized it. What do you think's really happening in the firms? To your point, no
Oh,
one's
I
doing
think
it.
that no one's doing it. I mean, I think that they're going through the motions. I don't think they're spending. We used to have breakouts, meetings, going
I
through like
know.
you had with Jim and Eric, going through all the different
Yeah.
ways of how to close a candidate and work with a candidate, understand a candidate. But I think that's definitely lost. I think they're just it's going through the
And
motions. Oh,
remember, we would break down
here
the
comes
deals,
one
man.
after.
We Every week we would be in a room breaking down the deals. I mean, you'd be getting drilled like, "Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you ask him this? Did you go through a counter offer process? When's the last time you talked to him? When's this?" When you're like, and that's what you learned. You learned to minimize the surprises. That's what you learned how to do.
Yeah, and then on the sales side, I think a lot of the sales people that they hire that are new, just getting in it, they're training, they're order takers, not order makers,
Yeah.
and they're not understanding a job, and they got to learn you got to almost have walk the day in the life of this person on what they're doing day in and day out, because they can understand the job, but otherwise they're just writing down what the client's telling them to do. Okay, and then you go over to
Yeah.
the recruiter, you hand that job to them, and then they try to match up 20 resumes, they send them off, and it's like, no, they don't understand.
What do you think?
I'm confident. I've been away from it for 7 years. I'm confident that's still happening today.
I'm sure it is, and it seems like it's getting worse. Like, what do you think? Okay, so hold on, and I don't wanna Accor, I'm sure, is using okay, tell me about Accor because I wanna talk about AI with you. Because as you see and you know what the other thing that's really weird? I didn't think you were posting on LinkedIn. None of your stuff ever comes through my feed.
Even the
Nothing,
ones I did.
nothing. I actually went to your profile and was to create these questions that we're probably not gonna use. Right here. So what chat does only thing that chat does really good for me is I pull the background and I upload it and it gives me these really good questions were pretty good, right? I mean, I tweaked them a little bit. You probably didn't read them. But
I did.
anyway, you did. Okay. And anyway, so I saw your post because I was on your profile. I'm like, what is happening? I would totally support your post. You always support mine. And I was like, so that's why I made that comment today because I hadn't seen them. So I'm like, what is LinkedIn doing? You are almost like every one of my posts. So you're my first connection. We're in the same, like we worked at the same, still on my, I think maybe it's not on my profile anymore. Maybe it's not. But anyway, I was like, how am I not seeing your posts?
I blocked you.
You blocked me.
Now I don't know.
I was like, "Oh, why am I no longer a first connection?" But then
I
I'll
don't
get
know.
all these
By
randos,
the
like,
way,
all
I'm
these
not that good at technology. I wouldn't know how to block somebody.
anyway, I was getting all these random people, and I'm just like so I felt really bad about it because I was like, "Oh my god, I should be" that's why I did that this morning because I was like, "Okay, I really should be helping out." Anyway, so tell me about the software, what it does, what is tell me.
So Core is the parent company I work for. The software that we have is called Zenopal. It's an all-in-one on one URL, ties to any laptop, PC,
Okay.
tablet, phone. But when I say all-in-one, it's truly built to be an all-in-one solution from your onboarding to the ATS, the CRM, timesheets, payroll, invoicing, all the way to the general ledger, all in one. Where a lot of my competitors are out there, they say they have an all in one, which they probably blend. They did blend like two softwares together to try to make it one, which is not working in most cases. And it's not real time data. This is real time data. And it's growing. We've been in business since 2019. We have over
So this is
4,000
complete
users.
only on the staffing side.
Only staffing, yep. Temp, perm modules involved in it as well too, but it is truly an all-in-one solution.
Wow. Okay. Okay, and then I'm sure it has an API to any of the other to the GL, like, to any of
Correct.
these
The
softwares and all that kind of
QuickBooks,
thing. You could
yeah,
yeah, everything, yeah. Alright, so, well, you're perfect for this because you understand the whole process. So, are you okay, so but you talk about is it use AI on the candidate side and the ranking side and all that kinda stuff?
yeah, for sure.
Have
Yeah,
you
you can
seen some of the posts about what's happening with that?
have that.
So AI, what it's doing now, because everyone says like AI is kind of like in dial-up right now, is that you'll see do you use like chat or Claude? Do you use
Yeah,
any of
I
that
use
stuff?
chat. I use chat.
So you see how it gets stuck in a pattern? How like it's stuck in a pattern? So it's saying what's happening is it's getting stuck in a I'm not saying that's your company. So just so everyone knows, I'm not saying it's Accor, but what internal people are seeing is that say you're trying to source for one, trying to source for a job. And say it's something like maybe even a little bit more on the corporate side when it's like the same job a lot. Like say you have like 10 sales jobs open for ABC company, right? Not a staffing firm, but for a corporation. This is the corporate side, not the staffing side. So on the corporate side, what it's doing is that it gets stuck in this pattern of the people they've looked at and it doesn't go outside of this pattern. And so anybody else that's not like directly in this pattern is being pushed down the ranking. And so it's like learning almost like the wrong behavior because it gets stuck in this way of that that's the only people you should be looking at when you have other people you should be looking at. And so the other thing, so you've got that where it's like not really ranking right. Like a human, like if you and I were cruising through, that's one part of it. The other part of it's happening is that right now AI has no context. So it can't go out. So you and I would look at a resume and say, "They have this. Oh, but they don't have that. But that's so strong. I can live without that." Right? You do that
Mhm.
debate in your head when you're looking at a candidate, right? Like, "Oh my god, this is so strong. Let me call the client and let me see if they can live without this." And so it can't do that. It doesn't have any context for that. And so you pair that with the volume that's happening, it's kind of a mess on the corporate side because people are using like you can use Perplexity to upload your resume, upload your job description, and you could make a really if you know how to edit correctly, you could make a really strong ATS driven resume that could get through to that job. So what's happening is it's becoming easier to do that with the resumes and stuff that they're getting a lot more volume. So they're getting all this volume, and then you've got this AI that's like in this lane that's not looking at everybody sort of like objectively with some requirements. And so it's causing a lot of problems internally with getting the right people, which could be AKA why Becky ended up with 100 resumes in her inbox.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. One of the things that does this system does nice, you kind of alluded to it, is that it'll tell you the reasons for the match, and it'll tell you
Mm.
the reasons why it is not a match.
But does it say that for every resume that comes in?
When you do the AI search, like if I had a job, I can do what they call a candidate regeneration, and it'll pull up the top candidates from that specific job, and it will rank them on that and tell me why they're a match and why they're not a match.
So if you
I have
keep
not gone into
regenerating,
depth. I have not gone into depth to see because I'm
if
just
it
busy
will
in my
keep
demo.
going deeper,
Yeah,
right? Like if you keep
and I think you could.
regenerating,
Yeah, you're right.
will it
And
go
I
to the
don't
next
know.
level, the next level, the next level? But you know what
Yeah,
happens? This is what happens with recruiters, right? And then I understand it, is you only look at enough resumes or enough profiles to get the deal done. And then if once it like not to get the deal done, you stop looking once you feel like you've got the pool that you need, and then it doesn't matter what comes, it doesn't matter. Right? I don't use postings ever because it doesn't help me. So I don't you'll never see a post out there unless it's like I'm doing a one-off in some crazy situation for somebody. But, I only use direct recruiting and databases and people I know and network, all that kind of stuff. So I don't really do that. So I'm a little bit out of tune with like how that really works. So I don't see it on a daily basis. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm just reading and seeing what other people are saying about it. Um, and I also know that in some of these human resource organizations I'm in, they really don't like it. They're really not a pro, and they may not be a pro AI person because they're afraid they're going to be replaced. I don't know.
and I hear that a lot, and I just think I understand what their thinking is, but
I know.
it should enhance their job and make them better and make them more money if they use the
Yeah.
AI tool.
Yeah. I mean, there's a point where people think recruiters are just gonna be, well, I mean, if you listen to Elon Musk, there'll be more bots or robots than there are people. Everyone will have a robot in their house, and no one will have a reason to live because there'll be nothing to look forward to, and a few people will have all the money, and we'll all be on this minimum what do they call the minimum, salary because the 1% have all the money, now there'll be, like, 5 people that have all the money.
I gotta say, one of the things, there was a big craze back in the early 2000s about Monster when Monster came on. Monster was gonna replace me and you at that time because
Interesting,
they
I
were gonna
never
be the middleman. Yeah, they're gonna
thought
be the
about it.
middleman, and they've always tried to come up to reinvent the wheel on replacing us. And all those ships have come and they've sailed. Now AI, it looks pretty nice, looks pretty slick. There's some agents that are coming out that are going to be that we have coming out as well. That I'll be interested to see how much it will be, how well it will do, and how much it might take away from some of the people that are.
Keep me posted 'cause, I was reading this article Mark Cuban had wrote this is not long, like a week or 2 ago, and they were weighing in on the investment of AI in corporations, just in general, right? Like, 'cause you saw the big wave, AWS, Target, Intel, like, last year, they had all these massive layoffs, and they blamed AI for AI improvement, and what he's saying, and he talked to his cronies, is that they're not seeing the ROI on the cost of it. And there's also, like, a whole human adoption dimension that plays into this whole thing, right, too, because you've got your
Right.
employees to adopt to use it. And the other thing I think that people aren't thinking of, I was just on this call with this really young kid who's got this AI e-commerce platform, and now that I have the hiring room, I guess I went past enough episodes where most people drop their podcast. So now it's weirdly, I'm getting all these strangers coming to me. "Can I be in your podcast? Can I be in your podcast?" So this kid who's yeah, so I was like, I don't know, okay, like, I'm just doing this for fun. Yeah, I don't know. And so I'm like, I you know, I s I'm a professional speaker. I speak for a like, literally, I'm paid to speak to people. So I've been people for 25 years. This is not real hard for me to do, you know?
Yeah, right?
Not real hard for me to do. But anyway, so I kinda got in this argument with this young man this morning. He's so young, and it's okay because I don't wanna throw the old owl card out all the time. But I mean, he's like, he's like, "Well, Renee, like, we're gonna be replaced, there'll be no jobs." Or I said, "Well, legislation come in. We've got some power constraints, like, electricity and power in general may be the whole limiting force to this because the
Right.
grids already can't even air condition people's homes in New York. So the kind of power this needs, they're building underground data centers. They're going to have to, you know, they're talking about nuclear power again. Like it's not,
So true.
you know, so it's complicated and legislation's happening. You heard about the Workday when Workday's got sued. You heard about the Workday
Mhm.
sue?
Yep.
Age discrimination, it was only pulling up people under 40 years old, right? Again, that AI gets, like, stuck and then Workday supposedly got an and have you looked at like have you ever done a demo with them?
I've never.
I need to
I
do that
I
one because it's
yeah.
supposed to be a really fantastic product. So they got a lot of money thrown at this product and they just they're getting sued. And now Illinois, of course, just put a law in January that if you use AI in your hiring, you have to state it. And when I talked to, if you want interesting, I had a guy from Jackson Lewis, an attorney on the podcast in January, and he's awesome. His name's Neil Dishman, and he told me like he's like sharing all the new laws. And he said, this is a very simple law for them to pass. And this is how legislation works. He said they'll pass something really easy. Okay, you just have to post that you're using it but it's the segue into more legislation to put boundaries around it. And I mean, you just saw like Anthropic was arguing with Trump. He wouldn't give him free reign on Claude to use for the government. So which is great because he's coming from protecting people as opposed to money. I mean, did you see that with him? How he got ran through the ringer, the
I
CEO
did.
of Anthropic?
Yep. Yep.
But I was kinda like I was really happy that this guy pushed back, I'm like, "This is good because you need to have you need to be responsible. I mean, it can't just be about money, everybody. It has gotta be you gotta think about the people, you know?" Anyway, it's a little bit scary. Think about our kids, like, what are they gonna be doing?
Exactly.
I looked at my grandson, I said to him yesterday, I'm like, "What?" I was like, "What are you gonna do for a living? Like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna build
No,
robots?
that's
What's gonna
I
happen?"
got 20-year-olds, so I'm, like, in the same boat. I'm like, "What are you
Like,
guys gonna do?" Yeah.
yeah, like, what are we gonna do? And my sons are like,
I
"Go
think
into HVAC." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, a robot can fix your air conditioner too."
no. I don't that's why I say I think the skilled laborers is safe for a while.
I hope
I'm
so.
not gonna have a robot come fix my I guess if they could fix it, they can, but that'd be weird.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine, like, you have this robot in your house and it does everything for you? You imagine how it's like having talk about could you imagine the abuse of a robot with children, how that would be?
Oh
"Hey,
god.
hey, go get me something to drink."
Exactly.
They'd be calling it
That
names.
wouldn't be bad at our age. So if they can age appropriate those things, that'd be good. "Hey,
It
give
would
me a
be
beer."
fantastic. But, like, could you imagine what it'd do to the youth? I mean, we're already lazy when you're a kid. You'd be like, having a robot and does everything for you, it's like, don't treat her like that. Don't ask her to do
Exactly.
all get your ass up and get something to drink yourself. I mean, it would be a nightmare for humanity. It would be such a nightmare for humanity. Oh my god.
Would be.
Okay, so you're not running a team right now, or are you?
No, me.
You're doing, like,
Me.
solo
Yeah.
you're just like,
I'm part of a team. I'm part of a team, and we're growing, and it's
do you
good to
have, like,
be just
do you have, like, a sales manager?
I do. Steve
He or she does not try to manage
Steve
you.
Zaparo. Steve Zaparo. I mean, we work together. I mean, he knows my buttons.
Steve's part of this?
Yeah.
I didn't know. So he just leaves you
Yeah.
alone.
He does, he does. I mean, he works with me on a lot of little things, but we're doing well as a team, so that makes the difference. So,
Alright, so I really wanna get into your leadership. So you have this big reputation. I don't know if you know this. Do you know this?
thank you. I don't.
You really
I
don't?
don't. I'm a humble pie guy.
No, do you really know what people say about you behind your back?
Don't.
Because 'Cause I'm gonna tell you,
Okay.
alright? People that worked for you love working for you. I don't think and I was pretty in the know, right? Like, I was pretty in the know when I was with Girly Wong. I knew shit. I kinda was in the know, and I never heard anything negative about you from any person that worked for you ever. And so what is like I think so I can look at it from my standpoint because I worked for you. How did do you think you just have like this innate like gut and how to do it or did someone did you have a mentor? Like, why were you such an amazing manager? Because when you were when Brilliant at the end of Brilliant's time, you were there. Like, how many people were on the team?
We had an office full of 85. I was overseeing, I had other managers below me, but probably 35 to 40 people.
Yeah, and I know you
Yeah.
knew what everybody was doing
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
you're there, like you're in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were
I
you
don't
still
think
sitting in the
that
bullpen?
I wasn't. What's that?
Were
Yeah.
you still?
I would sit in the bullpen. Yeah. I got moved away at the end, but I was the last guy to move
I
out of the
bet
bullpen, out of one of the owners. I was
you'd
like,
stand
I'm going to
up.
sit right. I did. I did. They're like, you got to get out of there. And I'm like,
You'd
I
stand
really
up and
don't
you'd
want to.
survey everybody with your
But I
headset.
would find my way back over into the bullpen and sit for the day as well, too. You asked me what my style or why I'm may have been successful in the manager role is that I think a lot of people that manage try to make do the same thing for everybody. One size fits all. That's not managing. Managing is understanding your people, understanding who they are, what motivates them. Not everybody's motivated by money. Not everybody's motivated by getting a deal done. It might be just getting promoted or getting a client meeting or things like that. So I think a lot of managers say, this is the way I did it, and this is how you're going to be successful. And that's bullshit. That
Mm,
doesn't work that way. Right. And I think that I came across everybody I knew was different. Everybody was not from the same cloth. And I worked with them and tried to find their hot buttons and push them that way. And I really think that worked and my style worked. And I didn't know people liked working for me. I felt that because they cared and they would come to me and ask me, or they kind of felt like they let me down because they weren't successful. And
interesting.
I never browbeat anybody. I went back to them and I said, well, this is what we can do different. Let's just see what you're doing in this way and why it's not working and what we can do. And I think that's always been my style and that's my mojo.
So you invested time in people. So what was the hottest person you managed besides me?
Brian Murchie. And everybody that knows that worked with Brian Murchie would know Brian Murchie was the hardest guy to work for. And you ask Brian Murchie right now who he got along with the best. He's out.
Why?
He's in Nashville now. Nothing was ever his fault.
Okay, he took no responsibility. Okay.
No responsibility. But him, and another guy named Andrew Butler, both are very cut from the similar cloth that they were go getters and they were relentless. Both of them are tough to manage. I let them go to a certain point, but I could pull them back. And then I let them go and then pull them back. You ask both those guys, they're very successful where they're at right now. Very, very successful. And I enjoyed working with them because it made me better because it was just a different
Yeah.
mix of people that I had to manage.
What was the characteristic that they had in common? Could you name it or could you pinpoint what would made them so difficult?
I think it was what I said earlier. Nothing was their fault. It was everybody else's fault, and they had to go forward. So they're both cut from the cloth on that. And I've not met people like that, and they went on, and they're still doing very well. I follow them quite a bit.
I'm releasing it Monday. You should watch it. Becky Norris is going to be on. I have a taping of
Okay.
her on the podcast, and people follow Becky too. People follow Becky from company to company. As a matter of fact, um, I don't know how many now. 3 or 4 people that I placed with her in 2005 have gone to 3 companies with her. Like they follow her. Do you remember Steve Mastowski, who is in treasury? We set him in as a temp for her at UPM. It was Ekareli Wong. He's followed her every job. Every job
Wow.
he follows her. And so I on the but you wanna know something? She said the exact same thing you did.
Wow.
She said,
Interesting.
"Because you have to handle every single person differently, and you can't manage everybody the same way, and you have to know what the needs are of what that person needs." Almost in that moment, she said, like, you have to understand. The other thing she's really good at, which really couldn't you really couldn't do it in what we did unless you had dedicated salespeople, dedicated recruiters, or dedicated like desk people. If you didn't have a rotation, you could do it, but if you had a rotation, you couldn't do it. One thing she's really good at is taking away things people are really poor at doing, right? So maybe they're amazing at this part of the job and they're just a rock star. What she'll do is say, okay, you're like so a rock star at this and you really suck at this. I'm going to take this piece out and I'm gonna give you more of the piece that you're really good at.
And
You're
that's what
still gonna have
we did that at Brilliant because you remember
did
we had
you?
the rotation. People were good at the recruiting side, people were good at the sales side, but
Did you start doing that?
yeah, we totally did. We had dedicated salespeople and then we had dedicated recruiters, and it
You ended
worked
up
really
doing
good.
that. Okay,
Yeah,
because you're
we got rid
right,
of the
like,
rotation.
I tell you what, for me, running a desk was I hated it. I'm not running a desk. Running, on the staffing side, yeah, was it considered the desk?
Rotation.
Yeah. So
Desk, they had, the
the
recruiting
order filling on the staffing side, they call it desk there? Is that what you call it? I hated it when I had a desk week. I mean, you made money, right? But you're like, "Oh my god, this is so exhausting." It was just exhausting because you had to do it fast, man. You're like, "Arr." I couldn't imagine doing
you're
admin. I
interviewing, what,
couldn't.
10, 15 candidates, you're filling orders, you got
Do you remember when they got that big CNA order with, like, 55 or 60 accountants that one time that really catapulted them financially because they got so much money, so much money? I don't know how we did it. I don't know
yeah.
how we came up with that many people.
We had, like, 40 resumes, and you remember
I
that,
remember because Mike was
they
sitting there
wanted
like
20 from us, and they wanted 20 from Kelly because Kelly was their on-site.
and you remember that was a business card that somebody
It
gave
was
your
mine.
business
It was mine. Yeah, it was a
it was
lady
your
that worked
business
there.
card.
It was a lady that worked there.
That's
I
right,
met her
you
prior
did it.
to a year before they gave us the order, and she brought our name up because Kelly was, uh, shitting the bed, basically. And so that same order, we got 20 orders. They gave Kelly 20. All our people showed up. We were standing there waiting, checking them in. Kelly's people didn't show up or didn't make it, so we got the other 20. So we ended up having like 40 some people out.
Remember them separating it off the board, like, "Don't look at the starts." I remember they did a separate board with it and everything else, but that's right, and
Yeah.
I remember you saying, like, "Look how this business works." Your business card got passed, and you didn't even know who it got passed to, and you got a phone call, and it was just, like, crazy when that order came in. I'll never forget that because I was part of the team that
Yeah.
was helping find people.
Yeah.
I
We
mean,
had,
everyone was. It was like all hands on deck when
yep.
that
It was
happened, but
crazy.
it is crazy how it's crazy. It's crazy how feast and famine this business works too. It's like sometimes you're like, "Oh my god, I'm on a dip, I'm on a dip, I'm on a dip," and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, I'm not on a dip anymore." Things can turn like very quickly in the business. It's so interesting, right? So that's interesting because the pattern. I'm going to write a post about this because the pattern of this for being a really good manager. The other thing though is like and same thing with Becky. You were tough though. I mean, you held people accountable.
No
I
one's
mean,
gonna ever
you
say that no one's ever gonna raise their hand and say, hold me accountable. But you had to put numbers and out there for them to achieve. And that's another thing that motivated some people. Some people were motivated by hitting that goal. And so
yeah.
I think that you had to hold them accountable on those numbers. Why aren't you hitting them? Why are you coming short? What do you need help from? It's actually doing it and being with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember specifically. I can't remember any conversations, but I remember you having some really direct we'd be in a meeting and you have like me and you one on one, you'd be like, you'd lean in and you'd be like, Beckman. And I was like, I know that tone of voice. You'd be like, "Come on, come on." Or I don't remember what you said, but you'd have this way about you. You didn't pound it. You didn't pound things at people. Never raised your voice. But when you had to get a point across, you got it. You got the point across. Like you were pretty good at like,
Yeah,
your
I could say,
nonverbals, the way your tone
yeah,
was. You always did it pretty privately. You never like embarrassed people like in front of other people. You always did like that. But I also think and I think like look at how you and Becky, a very different type of management as far as like what you do, but she always has your door open and you always, I think people feel safe telling you the truth, right?
yeah.
Because
I
that's
agree with that.
huge. Because if you can't get the truth out of them and they don't feel like comfortable telling you that, then you're never really going to know what's in their head. So you have to keep confidence, right? You got to keep what you know in confidence. You can't, I mean, you have to build that trust. You have to maintain that trust. And your words got to be everything to them, right? So I
Exactly.
think that, you know, because we see this all the time in corporate America. It's like, I mean, we just talk about this like a leadership crisis. People are promoted because they're good technically, and then no one trains them, and then they really stink. And I think some people may intuitively know how to do it. Maybe you and Becky are those people that kind of know how to do it. I think that I led by example more. I didn't. I didn't manage as good as you. Like, I don't think I ever got to be that great of a manager. I
And
think
I think
part
that
of my
was one of the things that was wrong with Robert Half back in the day. Robert Half always thought that the best managers were the best producers. And
it's not.
that's not always the case, right?
No.
I think that in a lot of people that I talked to afterwards that got put into management positions that they were a decent producer and then or they're a good producer and they're like, I hate management. And it just that was the
Yeah.
thing for Robert Half. I don't know if they're still that way. That 20 years ago now,
It's
20
hard to
plus.
manage salespeople. Salespeople are the hardest people to manage.
Yeah.
They take a lot out of you because they lie, tell you they fib, they tell you things
But
that
it's
aren't
not their
true.
fault. It's not their fault.
It's always somebody else's, this whole thing. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
That
and so
cannon
I
fell
also
off
think
the
that my expectations were really high, because I'm just I it's the way I operate, so I'm just kinda like, I'm confused, like so I think that that was part of my problem as a young person too, like I projected it where I expected them to do what I would do and act like I would act, and why wouldn't you do it this way? And so I think that my expectations had to be realigned. So, I mean, I think I was really good at operations, managing like the divisions and problem solving. But when even we had Marco, I spent a lot of time firefighting. I felt like I was always firefighting, because I was like probably the most technically strong person from an accounting and finance standpoint. I got pulled into a lot of issues where, you know, Jason would be like, "Beckman, I got this tax roll. I don't know what to do." I'm like, "Did you take the intake call for it?" "Yeah, okay, so now I gotta go call the client, clean this up?" "Yeah, I need your help to do this." So I was doing a lot of that stuff where I had to, like, jump in with the client and try to, like, clean up some stuff because they'd come to me and I'd be like, "What? What? No, this person can't do this job," you know what I mean? So we had a lot of that kind of happening too, where I was did a lot of troubleshooting with stuff like that, but I didn't mind doing it. I mean, it was fun. It was fun working with the people and teaching them and stuff, but I just always tell them, like, the candidates teach you. The candidates will teach you. All you have to do is tell them, "You know what? I'm not a tax person. Walk me through this. Help me understand this. Take really good notes. Regurgitate back." They will do it. I've done all kinds of roles that I don't technically know how to do. But if you dig and you ask enough really good questions, you can kind of figure it out if you have some people love to talk about themselves. They love to
Yeah,
teach especially
I agree.
technical people. So
Yeah.
I think that's like really important.
Yeah, I didn't know accounting. I didn't know accounting, and that's how I learned is through the candidates, just asking them questions to
They
walk me through your
teach
day.
you, right?
Yeah, they teach you.
Yeah. Oh my god, AP clerk, full cycle,
Full
coding,
cycle.
GL coding,
Yeah. Three-way match.
three-way match. Is that a three-way match? I used to listen to you on the phone, I just giggle. "Hey, is that a three-way match?" Oh my god, you were like you say things like, "Hey, my vocabulary is not that big, but I'm just throwing out those phrases."
Yeah. What does
Oh
that
my
do?
god,
You know, you know. You know exactly
you
what it
know,
does.
you know. Oh my gosh, it's so much funny. Oh, it's so funny. Well, it sounds like the company's doing really well. Anything else? Like anything, if you were and I know we're getting at an hour here, so and I wanna keep to your day. If you were in staffing now, I mean, how do you think if you were launching a new staffing firm today, would you do anything differently than you did in the past? Like, how would you go about and you've got the technology now, so you kinda see that
Well, I
side of
think
it.
that's one of the big things right now, knowing what I know now on the system side is starting off with the right system. I think when we were at Brilliant, we started off with a system that was not very good, and within 2 years, we were changing to another one,
Mm.
and then the next 3, 4 years, we were with that. I think it was 5 years with that one, but I think
What did you guys end up
technology
with? What'd you end up
I think
with?
when I left with Bullhorn.
Bullhorns always seems to come up on top. They're
Yeah,
not
but they're
cheap.
starting they're not cheap, and they're starting to lose their luster a little bit because
They
yeah, because
are.
their system's getting outdated. We have quite a few coming over to us right now through the Bullhorn, and that would be something in the past that I'd be like, "Oh, they got a lockdown, right?" They're not so
Yeah,
locked down
Bullhorn was
anymore.
like the premier expensive one. Who are your biggest competitors then?
Bullhorn would be, Aviante, TempWorks, probably our biggest competitors that we run into. Yeah.
So Bullhorn has a whole suite for temporary. They have like everything, huh? Whatever happened to
They're
that
à la
company?
carte. They're different. They're à la carte. So they got one system and then they bring in payroll. They got all kinds of different
I
pieces
use
to their pot.
Loxo for
Loxo, yeah.
myself. Yeah, it's not that cheap, but I
I don't
liked that
run
it had
into
this.
them. Yeah.
I liked that it had a CRM in it. I was trying to get something in the same place, the same kind of thing, and it has an email It has an email drip campaign you can use. I use them for the candidates. If I'm trying to get a hold of people, I use something
Yeah.
different for the client side. So it seems like you can never quite get everything you want, though. I mean, I don't know, but Locks also has that database in there, and they used to give that free, but now they're charging for it because I'm sure it's
Interesting.
costing a lot of. Yeah, yeah. And matter of fact, they took some of my credits away. I was like, "What? Where's my credits? Because this is expensive." But anyway, all right, buddy. Well, it was
All
so
right.
great. It
It
was
was
so
great.
great having
Thank
you
you, Renee.
on. Let's
Yeah.
keep in touch a
I
little
miss
bit
you. If I
more.
get back up to Chicago, I'll let you know.
Thanks for joining me in the hiring room. If you like the podcast, please subscribe below and share this episode with someone you think that would benefit from it. We're always looking for good people to interview. So if you have a referral, comment below, or you can email me at renee@msteedinc.com. Thanks. Till next time.